Hello everybody, Toreno here, and welcome back to the Royale Dev Server. And today we're taking a look at an Italian IFV. And that is I believe it's the Freccia or Freccia. I believe Freccia is the proper term. And this is going to be the new top tier IFV on the sort of tank destroyer / light tank lineup. So this is a 10.0 vehicle. Now, the main armament is, of course, a 25mm gun, so that's not going to be particularly great. With your best APFS DS round, you've got 83mm penetration at 500 meters. I mean, it's decent enough for this tier, especially against the sides of vehicles, but obviously compared to main battle tank guns, it's not the greatest thing in the world. But we also finally get the spike missiles, which I feel like people have been wanting for a long time. I know my videos on vehicles I'd like to see, quite a few of them have the spike missile. So yeah, I'm glad this has finally been added. It's an anti-tank guided missile with a tandem charge. And from what I understand, because I know they showed this in one of the dev server videos, and this is a fire and forget missile. So you've got 700mm of penetration and a lock range of 20 kilometers. And it's guided by IR, which may cause some issues, but presumably you will have to actually lock onto it with your gunner. But yeah, I think having fire forget missiles in the main tech tree, yeah, I think this is a pretty good step up in capabilities. And of course, in addition to that, you've got two 7.62mm machine guns, one in a coaxial position and one on the roof. So that's always good for against enemy aircraft. And of course, it carries two spike missile launchers on the sides of the turret, and you've got ammunition for 8 of them. And the reload rate is 13 seconds. So yeah, this will be a decent threat to enemy vehicles. Now, looking at the armour, it's not particularly the best in the world, but if you show the external armour, this does come with composite screens and additional high hardness armour. You've got 15mm there, and then above it you've got a 6mm one, which does help to bolster protection at the front a little bit. And then you've got a similar thing on the turret. You've got aluminium for the actual turret itself, but then above that you've got some high hardness armour. And high hardness armour, as I recall, has a 1.25 multiplier. So if you've got 10mm of it, it's actually 12.5mm of equivalent armour of actual protection. And of course, because it's got the composite screen at the front, that should in theory provide additional protection against heat rounds, because that's a 2 times multiplier, so 30mm should actually be 60mm against heat rounds. And you've got some more around the sides here. Although, again, it's only 30mm, so 60mm by doubling it, plus whatever armour is behind it. I don't think that's going to provide massive amounts of protection, especially at this tier. Might help you against some glancing shots or smaller caliber heat shells, but this is still, regardless, a very lightly armoured vehicle. Now, the speed is pretty good. It's got a top speed of 67 miles per hour, or a tiny bit under 108 kilometers an hour, so a very fast vehicle. And if we look at the transmissions, it's got 10 gears forward, but only 4 gears backwards, so only 13.7 miles per hour backwards, which is a bit of an issue, but not the end of the world. And it's got a 486 horsepower engine. And this engine is at the front here. So if a shot comes from the front, it's got to go through the engine, possibly the radiator and the bits of the transmission. Then you've got an additional RHA armour inside, 8mm at the fuel tank. So assuming it doesn't just create extra spool, the engine and all that should provide quite a lot of extra protection. And then lastly, the crew is the driver in the main hull, and then you've got your gunner and commander in the turret. And the gunner optics aren't the best in the world, only 2 to 8 times zoom, but you've only got a small 25mm gun as your main armament. But it might be a bit of an issue when trying to aim with the spike missiles. So yeah, this seems like a decent addition to the Italian top tiers. It's nice to see Italy getting some of the most advanced vehicles in War Thunder, and of course, like I say, the first to get the spike fire and forget missiles. Of course, before this, I believe only the QN506 had this, and that was, of course, an event vehicle. So yeah, it looks like we are going to start getting fire and forget missiles into the proper game itself, which is a welcome change. Anyway, just a quick video looking at the Freccia. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you'll join me for more videos like this in the future. I've been Toreno, and I'll see you next time.